Page. Oh.
Public comment limited to 3 minutes.
Can everybody hear me? I'm Dale Bernhardt. With public safety being the primary purpose of government, the next highest purpose is to provide transparency to its citizens and make decisions that are consistent with the desire of its citizens. Aside from safety, our local government actions run by Mr. Heisey has been a complete failure. Poor decisions, some resulting in lawsuits, has been a hallmark of Mr. Heisey's tenure as supervisor. A movement is spreading through Michigan and other states acting on the actions of unresponsible government. A perfect example is the unwanted Goshen Chinese battery development in Big Rapids. Residents were kept completely in the dark until it was leaked. Residents took action and removed those responsible for the silent backroom deals. But Mr. Heisey likes to brag about being transparent. The gambling site was planned with decisions made well before it was presented to the Planning Commission. As quoted from the Goshen opposition leader, normally when a big development goes into a community, people seem to know about it. We knew nothing. Sound familiar, Plymouth? Promises were made to Myers also well before the public became aware. The sewage requirement for Salem Township was known back in 2017. Mr. Heisey was fully aware there was piping capacity for the sewage, but decided not to work to resolve the upcoming issue or inform the public. Remember, lack of transparency is by design. Mr. Heisey does not want you to know things even though he is paid by you to work for you. Once the shroud of secrecy is penetrated, Mr. Heisey reverts to name-calling on social media. Goshen opposition have experienced the same playbook. Those in opposition to the battery plant became subject to a total slam campaign, including negative online posts. Again, sound familiar? So Mr. Heisey surrounds himself with appointees who contribute to his campaign fund. Examples include David Ladowick as planning commissioner, his wife and daughter employed also. In exchange for employment and influence, Mr. Ladowick will certainly vote with Heisey and continue to be secretive. Mr. Ladowick is also being recommended by Mr. Heisey to the Zoning Board of Appeals, sort of like the fox watching the hen house. Also, Mr. Pop, who contributed to Heisey's campaign, has been recommended by Heisey to sit on the Planning Commission. So can you see the pattern here? Secrecy is maintained by beholden appointed bureaucrats. What we see with Heisey is a whole series of bad decisions based on flawed assumptions. He makes decisions without constructive criticism input because all are beholden to him. No business can operate along this way, and neither can a township.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Come on down.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Treasurer and Clerk, and rest of the Board of Trustees. My name is Paul Scholes. I'm a resident of Plymouth Township, Green Meadows. I have a few questions for the board this evening. When we make appointments, are we checking into the backgrounds of these people, their professional licenses, whether they're in good standing with those licenses, if they have filed bankruptcies before, if their debts are paid, if there's violations on those licenses? That's a concern to me, and I was wondering if you could answer that question. I also have a secondary question. I'd like to know what the status of the lawsuit against us by the Carlo brothers is today, its current status. Could you answer those questions?
We can address those later during board comments.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Oh, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I've been professionally trained for decades. 45-degree angle and swallow the microphone. I also get many comments from senior citizens who are citizens of Plymouth Township, and they cannot hear with clarity. Now, we spent $69,000 3 years ago on a new sound system. So I beg you to go 45-degree angle and swallow the microphone.
Would you like me to repeat what I said?
Thank you. I heard you, so.
Very much, and extremely touching. Do I need to? And where is this microphone? It's this little thing? Yeah. I don't know how to swallow it, John. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I need to do. Okay. Mary Pine, Kurt, you revealed your character when you scammed my husband and 2 other veterans at the senior scam meeting. My husband has addressed your dangerous and slimy technique. To clarify, since slimy seems to be your modus operandi, you then took this to the extreme with a throw dust in the air, wrap up smear, in which you threw your own political party and an individual under the bus with decades-old and unproven allegations. These are wasted dog whistles to keen-thinking residents as you actually revealed your desperate agenda to deflect from the real story warranting investigation, the $10 million lawsuit against Plymouth Township by Northville Downs. This ploy of being a victim is dishonest and not manly, not a good look. Having an outburst at the Northridge sewer plant meeting was another diversion from your role in contributing to the original problem. Not a good look. Not showing up with any of your candidates at the library candidate forum actually confirms your lack of respect and unwillingness to answer questions, confirming the lack of independence of thought of your endorsed candidates. Not a good look. Instead, you put your energy into conniving behavior such as courting the firefighters union and angling to get rid of the free HVA ambulance service at a potential cost of millions of taxpayer dollars. Not a good look. This quote from Warren Buffett about choosing leaders brings perspective. We look for intelligence, we look for initiative or energy, and we look for integrity. And if they don't have the latter, the first 2 will kill you, because if you're going to get someone without integrity, you want them lazy and dumb. The initiative and energy without integrity that you, Gary Heitman, Jerry Vorva, and Dennis Cebulski have put into the Northville Downs debacle has resulted in the $10 million lawsuit, a very bad look. The residents are left to ponder on the second half of Warren Buffett's statement. Are you and Jerry applying this to your slate of recommended candidates and cynically using them? On 2/27/23, we emailed the Board of Trustees our thoughts on the proposed Northville Downs racetrack with cautions, questions, and red flags. John Stewart acknowledged this and along the way fully acknowledged that Northville Downs was not compatible with our community. Bob Dorashevitz eventually realized this and is now responsibly sharing data and discussing analysis. Thank you to both of them. A huge thank you to Chuck Hermey, lifelong resident, 7-term trustee who cast the lone initial vote against the racetrack, always answered a phone call, has always been respectful to me as a female, has the community's best interest at heart, reads and understands the board packages, asks questions, analyzes, and thinks before voting with integrity. A youngish resident congratulated you, Kurt, on bringing together all ages, parties, and neighborhoods in their rejection of Northville Downs. This 16-month saga has revealed the issues to be nonpartisan. Residents moved here for a wholesome family community with green space, low crime, low traffic volume, not the east and west bookends of heavy traffic. The township should not be for sale. We need initiative and intelligence with integrity. That would be a good look.
Thank you. All right, anybody else?
Good evening, Board. Mary Ann Adams, longtime resident of the township. I am also here tonight to talk about Northville Downs. First, I've been in contact with the Michigan Gaming Control Board, and as of a few weeks ago, they have not taken any action to approve a new track license or the relocation of Northville Downs. In spite of what is being told to the media about NVD relocating to Fowlerville, it is far from a done deal. Second, regarding the $10 million plus lawsuit filed by NVD, they are also seeking to move forward in our township, reference number 181, page 49, letters D and E of the lawsuit. The township's answer to the lawsuit, which was submitted to the court on April 29th, requested the court dismiss the complaint. This request to dismiss was filed a month before your comments, Kurt, appeared in the Plymouth Voice on May 28th, stating, "It's a ridiculous argument, frankly, and we are going to be filing a motion to dismiss this case in the weeks ahead." We had already requested dismissal in our filing on April 29th. Township attorneys were in a teleconference this morning. The court wanted to become aware of the issues involved and to discuss the possibility of a settlement. If, as you state, Kurt, NVD is no longer interested in locating in our township, and if we are holding true to your stated votes to end all negotiations with NVD, then we should ask the court to specifically have item number 181 removed from the complaint. Otherwise, that leaves this township open to a gambling facility that is not welcome in our community. I've been in contact with the Eastern District Court of Michigan to make them understand how much the residents are interested in this case, its outcomes, and how many people the courtroom can hold for future public hearings. Finally, we are continuing to monitor any associated legislation, beginning the process to lobby for a change to the Michigan Gaming Act so that the rules for opening up a casino also applies to those establishments pretending to be a horse racetrack. Because for those of you who still want to pretend this is a horse racetrack, I will remind you once again that less than 4% of wagers were on live horse racing. Kurt, you solely made the decision for the roughly 28,000 residents at least 3 years prior to its occurrence, and likely longer, without so much as asking us about whether or not we wanted this subsidized gambling facility in our community. You put your personal aspirations and financial gain over what is best for our community. So by the looks of the document published today by the court, this case has not been dismissed. Is that correct? And you can answer that in your board comments. We are aware of the deadlines associated with this case, and we are watching it carefully, and we will be present at any public hearings going forward.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Carol Suchek. I'm a member of the Plymouth Township Historic District Commission, and I wanted to just take a moment to recognize Wendy Harless.
Is this still public comment?
Yeah.
Good, very good.
Well, you've already had, you can come up later.
Come up? I'll go later.
Yeah.
Where's the microphone? Ooh. Hey, John, yell at me if I get too soft. Okay, hi, I'm Bill Pine. I've been watching the board since February of 2023 and been struck and increasingly dismayed by the glaring lack of objective process and performance guidelines that should guide such discussions and behavior in general. As Yogi Berra once said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll probably end up somewhere else. You don't, and you do. Accordingly, I'd suggest the following, particularly since they're essentially a list of job requirements for what you do. 1, protecting property values. Don't consider proposals which threaten our property values. 2, continuing the decades-long practice of low property taxes, even if you personally think we don't pay high enough property taxes. 3, demonstrating financial responsibility, analytical rigor, and thriftiness. Don't spend millions of taxpayer dollars if not necessary. 4, no secrets, assuring widespread awareness of and opportunity for input on township initiatives. 95%, not 2 to 5%, should be the goal. 5, safety and avoidance of the introduction of sources of crime into the township. Acknowledge what the sources of crime in neighboring communities are and avoid introducing these sources into our community. 6, avoidance of traffic congestion in Plymouth Township. Avoid projects creating traffic congestion. 7, maintaining current township ambiance. Don't make our township a social engineering project for outsiders. Get broad-based residents' input on what they want before pursuing projects to be politically correct. 8, protecting at-risk residents, for example, seniors, veterans, and children, from predatory elements. Honor their vulnerabilities and avoid threats. 9, putting the needs of the township's 28,000 residents before those of a handful of wealthy individuals, companies, and labor unions, all of which are outside of Plymouth Township. Plymouth Township should not be for sale. 10, putting the needs of the township's 28,000 residents before those of a handful of township employees, many of whom are not township residents.
township employees serve the residents, not vice versa. 11, respectful, honest, civil discourse with the township's 28,000 residents across all media, meetings, online, and in print. Our supervisor should aspire to polite discourse, respectful interactions with residents, full disclosure of what's going on, and honest dialogue on actual issues. So what? It's my list, but the reason that I was dismayed by this is that Kurt, you and Jerry don't satisfy any of these requirements. And because you try to tell them what to do, your favorite trustees fail or struggle to comply. The good news is that Chuck Kermey meets every one of these requirements, and after I thought about it a little, early last year, so do John Stewart and Bob Dorshevitz. The point of all this is that the board exists to meet its obligations to the residents based on criteria like these, not to satisfy the whims of one or two members. You work for us, you need to remember that. Since I went really fast, I've got a copy of the criteria that I'll pass out to everybody. Okay. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. All righty. I think we're all set now. We're going to move on to new business. Item F1 is the 2023 audit presentation. We have with us tonight Valerie Barnes from Yo and Yo, and we're trying to have a, hey guys, got a board meeting going on here, okay?
I'm sorry.
So 2023 audit presentation. We are back to public comment, 3 minutes.
Wendy, nice presentation. You mentioned the B-24 Liberator. My dad worked on that. Yeah, there's an assembler there, and I'm trying to gather more information as to what he did. So it was interesting to me. I'm Dale Bernhardt, and I'm continuing my discussion on Mr. Heisey's lack of transparency. So let's take a look at the bylaws and requirements regarding MITC. Remember, the Northville Downs site lies within MITC, Michigan International Technology Center. Many people have questioned me if I thought there were any financial improprieties concerning the development of this site. I've always said, I don't know, but I'm sure MITC and the state safeguards against bad financial behavior. Remember, Mr. Heisey is a MITC board member. So in reviewing the bylaws, I found this. The MIT officers and officials shall file an annual disclosure statement with the MITC secretary. The annual disclosure statement shall disclose the following financial interest of the officer or official or his or her immediate family in any company, business, or entity that has contracted with the MITC. The annual disclosure statement shall include a summary listing each business transaction with the MITC. If there is no reportable financial interest or transaction applicable to the officer or official and or immediate family of the officer, the annual disclosure statement shall contain a certification to that effect. What this means is regardless if there is or has not been any business transaction, an annual disclosure statement must be provided by every MITC officer and official and possibly family. This is state and MITC mandated. So I'm thinking, well, that's good, but let's FOIL these annual disclosure statements as allowed by the Open Meetings Act. So the FOIL form was sent to the Plymouth Township, who forwarded it to Miller Canfield, the attorney firm for MITC. They complied with the request and sent back the following. Our firm serves as legal counsel to the Michigan International Technology Center. The request was forwarded to me in such capacity, given that the records you are seeking are records related to MITC. Your request is hereby denied because the MITC does not maintain a record containing the information you requested. FOIA requires that when records are requested that do not exist, the public body must certify that the records do not exist. Please consider this letter as such certification. So the MITC officers and MITC officials, again including Mr. Heisey, never for any year complied with the bylaws and state law requiring financial disclosure. Let that sink in, everybody.
Thank you very much,
Then you
sir.
may ask the question,
Thank
why
you very
not?
much.
And is something being hidden?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow. Okay, anybody else? Okay, anybody else?
It again? Okay. Hi, Bill Pine, 46-year township resident. I'm here to expand on thoughts I shared with you 2 months ago regarding smart meters. I talked with you then about health, which I won't revisit because nothing has changed, and financials, which I will. During my comments 2 months ago, Bob Dorshevitz acknowledged that a good analogy for the water meters is, in general, is that they're kind of like oil changes for your car. They're a cost, but one that you need to incur. After the meeting, I asked Bob if I could get more information on the financials to better understand this aspect of any water meter decision. Bob was very cooperative, gave me copies of the consultant spreadsheet so I could ask my questions more effectively. At this point, I want to digress momentarily and acknowledge Bob's open-mindedness, collegiality, and responsibility. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
After reviewing the 3 spreadsheets that Bob shared with me, I gave him back a number of questions tied to specific cells or lines of multiple workbooks within multiple spreadsheets, as well as 2 very recent articles raising serious concerns about automated water meter reliability. Bob said he passed them back to the consultants to get good answers. The consultants sent back 8 answers, 3 related to manual meters and 5 related to automated meters. The answers for the manual meters were data-driven and generally reasonable, supporting the fact that they needed an oil change. I shared some execution-related thoughts with Bob regarding sourcing, features, and timing for him to use the seesaw fit with manual meters, but the need's real. The township needs to do something, but should be guided by a rational, frugal plan to do so. The answers for the automated meters were anything but okay. With apologies to Bob and Chuck Kermy, who have technical backgrounds, and anyone else who does as well that I don't know about, the reasons one generally uses automation are cost reduction, throughput increases, improved run-to-rate performance, improved first-time quality and actual, increased quality of grade for the effective product or service. None of these were addressed by the consultants. There was no cost reduction related to headcount reductions. They basically said that we should trust them that cost benefits would be generated later. With regard to the concerns about reliability, the consultant said that the problems were with electric meters or water meters of different design or water meters from other sources, and that we needed to trust them. There was no hard data. After reviewing the consultant responses, I suggested to Bob that there were 2 reasonable courses of action to take with regard to the automated meters. 1, get a legally enforceable guaranteed warranty or insurance policy from the supplier to keep the township whole in the event of underperformance, which probably no rational supplier will do. Or 2, postpone any decision on automation until we have hard data, at which time the township can decide if, how, and when any action should be taken on automation. There's also an unreasonable course of action that could be taken, and that would be to approve automated meters with no hard data. And if this course of action is taken, there is a pretty high likelihood that millions of taxpayer dollars could be spent on something that's not nearly as good as what we already have. So that would be really irresponsible. Please be responsible.
Okay, thank you. All righty, we're going to move on to board comments. If a board member wants to comment at this point, just raise your hand and I'll call upon you.
Sure.
John jumped to it, so go for it. John, you're on.
Go ahead. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Jackie Peters, Carrie Moon Dupre, et al. Their questions last night for an hour and a half on Zoom were focused, substantive, and helpful to the people of Plymouth Township. Those candidates who are here tonight, I appreciate them showing up on Zoom last night. I want to thank the concerned citizens for a week ago Monday. I'm a real traditional thing. You got to be out there among the people. You got to answer to the people. And in the library, there were 70 people last Monday night, June 3rd. And Susan Bondi is to be commended because there were Democrats, there were Republicans, there were whatever. One gentleman who just crossed his arms was a candidate for trustee. He had ENT, ear, nose, and throat surgery, with a white bandage across his nose, and his wife appeared and spoke for him. That's how important he thought it was to be among the people and to talk to the people. And she did a really commendable job. I want to congratulate Rose Callahan. Chief, I thought we were going to get a report tonight. Opioids, marijuana, alcohol.
Racetrack, the fairgrounds there in Fowlerville. If you drive to, what's so funny? What's so funny, John? Why are you laughing?
If you won't interrupt me, I will tell you that the executive director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board said North Fowlerville was built in 1947. It would take more than $1 million to update it, and he told me that I could take my pony and walk. Don't interrupt me.
Wow. Wow.
And he told me I could take my pony there and walk it around at the county fairgrounds in August.
Well, thank you for advocating.
So there's no reality. No, I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for
Mike
the
Cox.
truth. We have motions in limine in August of 2025.
Thank you, John.
We have a trial date of October 1 of 2025. And you have no dismissal.
That's what
I've been called for a deposition, and I will submit to the court. There you always talk over everybody. Just keep talking.
Sorry, John.
AA meetings are every morning at 9:30 at First Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
AA meetings are every morning at First Presbyterian Church. If you need it,
what's your point?
Go to the AA meeting.
That is
every
slanderous.
morning at 9:30.
Very slanderous.
No, you're
that's slanderous. You're slanderous.
You're a disgrace.
You are a slanderous. That is a horrible, slanderous allegation. So I'm going to try to stay focused on the task at hand here. Shut up, sir.